Alright, so this training deck is going to be walking over monthly reporting. This is one of the most common deliverables you'll do in SEO, which makes it simultaneously one of the most important, but also gives you a lot of practice, so it's something that you should be able to get pretty good at pretty quickly. So to start with the basics, let's talk about why we do the monthly reports in the first place. The number one reason is it's so we can check in on ourselves, make sure that we're doing everything right, that we're identifying the positives so we know what's working and what's not working. So some of the data that's most commonly recorded in monthly reports is organic traffic, keyword rankings, landing pages, etc. No two monthly traffic reports are going to look exactly the same, as it does vary from client to client with the information that they find most useful in their reporting. But generally, traffic, keywords, and usually landing pages are going to show up in most. So we do our monthly reports with SEO Clarity for a lot of our clients, but for the few clients who are not in SEO Clarity, we do have Excel spreadsheets, and we get that data then from SEMrush, Google Analytics, and a couple other places. So as you go through your monthly reporting, each widget, which is what has the traffic, what the little tools are called, is going to be followed with a Notes tab entitled Insights and Next Steps. So insights are going to be important observation from that widget. Sometimes the clients, you look at these widgets, it's not immediately clear what they should be reading from it. So this insight kind of just pulls out the most important data and lets the client get it quickly. So some examples, just how the traffic is doing, or maybe some keyword rankings that have moved up and are now noticeable. After the insights, you want to go with the next steps, usually related to the insights, not always though. Next steps is just telling the clients, here's what we're going to do with this data, with this information, and here's what you can expect from us moving forward. So sometimes those next steps are super simple. With traffic, it might just be continue to monitor traffic. When things are going well, you're not going to be changing a whole lot. So usually a next step there can just be to keep an eye on things as some of your other deliverables get passed and implemented. Otherwise, maybe you have something negative, declined keyword. You can look at the page that's tied to that specific keyword decline, and then your next step might be PSM to optimize this landing page for this declined keyword. So another thing that we include in each of our monthly updates is an industry update. A lot of clients, which they're not up to date on a lot of the SEO news, which makes sense. That's what we're there for. So this might be something that, Google releases a core update algorithm that's going to change all of the rankings wildly. So this is something that we want to make sure we call out. That way, let's say a lot of our keywords did decline, we have an explanation as to why they did that, and we let them know that it might not be something that we did, that it's happening across the industry, but that we know why it dropped, and we know how to fix it going forward. So these updates are going to include a link to the article that you're getting this from. That way they can read more into it, but you also want to give them the Cliff Notes version. So what exactly is the update? Sometimes we don't have a lot of information. We can just tell by patterns that an update happened. That's okay too. You just give them as much as you can. Why it is important? So maybe there's new guidelines for EAT, best practices, those are becoming more important. Maybe keywords are dropping, etc. And then what it means for the client. So they want to know what it means exactly for them, not what it means for their competitors, not what it means for random businesses they're not related to. So now looking at a couple widgets, here's one example. So usually for this widget, we're going back 2 years on the traffic. So we have each of the organic traffic numbers from each of the months over the last 2 years, and we have them comparing each other. So for this month, it would be February, since that's the most recent month that has 3 bars of traffic. And you can see in the insights, we called out that organic traffic is up for both year over year, YOY, and month over month, MOM. And you can see no action required. That would be the next step in this situation because traffic is up. Here's what the landing page might look like. For this example, we have traffic and bounce. Those are the two stats that we pulled out here. But you can also see some general numbers at the top. Traffic, what it's like for the entire site. Bounce is down, traffic is up. That's two great callouts we have there. But you can see change. There is one page that's down, online/program/PhD applied behavior analysis. That is one that's traffic down. So here, what your insights might look like is that the online page and the BCBA certification are both up. No next steps there. But online programs, PhD, blah, 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 that traffic is down, and that might be something for us to look further into in the next step. Keyword ranking portfolio. Here you can see each of our keywords over the last 12 months, what's been ranking. If you hover over it, as we do here for December 2018, you can see exactly how many keywords rank on the 1 through 3, 4 through 10, and then on the second page, and then 21 plus. So insights and next steps, as you can see, keyword portfolio decreased this month. We give them specific numbers and then percentages. And then the next step there would be to review those page 1 and striking distance keywords that saw that decrease. So this kind of goes hand in hand with those keyword rankings, but we do want to call out then, we don't want to look just at the numbers, we want to look at specifically at the keywords. So we have them separated from gains and losses, so we can call out what's important. So top queries, this is something that we get out of Google Search Console. This is slightly different than those keyword rankings, as those keyword rankings are supplied by SEO Clarity's internal database, whereas this top queries, this is coming directly from Google Search Console, so the number is a little more accurate. But here we include impressions, clicks, click-through rate, and average position. This might change for some clients might not care about impressions, but as a general baseline, these are the 4 that we'll start with. So just some tips to remember as you go making these monthly reports. Number 1 thing is save as you go, especially for SEO Clarity. We would recommend saving really after you update each widget, as it can be a little fidgety sometimes, and you don't want to go through, do the whole thing, and then accidentally click on a link and then lose all your process. So we would saving as you go, as really with any project, number 1 tip. What you also want to do is keep in mind some old projects, especially when you're going through those next steps. You don't want to go to a client and say, we recommend optimizing this page, and then the client come back to you and say, we optimized that page 3 months ago. Let's do something a little different. So if you have any questions about what we've done in the past, especially when you're still new to some clients, you can always check the roadmap or just ask whoever used to be working on it or working with you, and they'd be happy to help. Another thing to keep in mind is to keep the client in mind. Some clients want to dive deep into everything. Some clients really just want the overall glance, and they want to know what comes next. So this is something, again, you'll get more comfortable with as you're moving forward with clients and you'll work with them a little bit. But if you have a client that really only likes overall glance, of course you want to look at the numbers so you know what's going on and you have those next steps. But it might not be as necessary to get way into the weeds on some of the things. So lastly, and one of the hardest things to remember, is that the negatives are just as important as the positives. So we would love for our reports to be nothing but positive, thumbs up, green arrow, yay us. Unfortunately, that's not always the situation. So when you're walking through these reports, don't shy away from something just because it's negative. Of course, we want to call out those positive insights. We want to know what's working. But those negative insights can actually be just as important. It lets us know It lets us know what we need to work on. It also lets the client know that we're being transparent and we're being communicative with what's going wrong. And it shows that we're being responsible and that we're willing to admit our mistakes, change them, and keep it moving forward. A lot of clients say that their past agencies, one thing they don't like is there was no transparency or there was no communication. So communicating those negatives, even if it can be a little awkward or a little painful, is one way that we like to set ourselves as one of the best agencies in the business. And it allows us to keep growing and keep trying new things when things aren't working. So that was basically monthly reports. Of course, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to let us know. Otherwise, this is probably something you should be getting a taste of pretty soon if you haven't already. So you'll be able to do your own monthly report here sometime soon.